Oh, at least we got this one. Oh, you don't want to sit through that, do you? Oh dear. I hope you're all taking notes. I'm really sorry about that. Mark only just reminded me as he left, turn on QuickTime. Had he been here, I'm going to blame it on Mark, damn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's all his fault.
Birthday party.
Mike, you're a witness. It's Mark's fault. Okay, yeah, birthday party, right. This is much more important. So, okay. Let's see. So, shapes. So let's draw a shape. And in InDesign, fantastic. And let's fill it with a color. There's a color. Oh, by the way, that is the color that came in from Illustrator when I imported that type. So let me just bin that, and I'll go back into Illustrator where I think I might still have a bit of that type. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to copy that again, and then go back into InDesign and paste it. And there's the color. So the color does come through. That's handy. It doesn't come through going the other way, but it does come through this way. Oops. So okay, now I've got a shape. Let's give that a custom color. Something other than this green. So we'll go for a new color swatch. And how about an orange? We don't have an orange. Bit of magenta. Full-on yellow. You find if you're trying to mix an orange, it's not a very easy color to really get a good, strong orange with CMYK. You really need a yellow on at 100%. Otherwise, it's just going to look washed out straight away. If you want a washed out orange, fine. But if you don't, pump the yellow up to 100%. So there it is. There's a new color. There it is. Okay, I'm going to copy that and back in Illustrator. What do you think? We're going to get the shape and the color, and will it add the color to the swatches? Well, let's find out. Paste it. Nothing happened over here. We got the shape, we got the color, but we didn't get the color added to the swatches. However, in Illustrator, that's not too hard to achieve. If I click on where's the color window here, and select that object, and oh, it's not easy to achieve, is it? There's a question mark there. There's nothing showing up in the colors here. Where is my object? So it's come through, but it's not come through in a way that I can actually access. Let's try it the other way, and I'll draw a shape in Illustrator, and we'll just choose a color. And a nice weak orange. Let's do 20% magenta, 100%, and select that with the selection tool, and I'll copy that, and then go back into InDesign and get rid of this one. So that 20% magenta orange is not in here. If I paste this, what do you know? So coming into InDesign is a more intelligent way of dealing with it than going from InDesign to Illustrator. And I think this is a reflection on the legacy problems that Illustrator has. So do many of you use Illustrator? I mean, I assume you do, or why are you here? You know, so in Illustrator, there's a lot of things that you can't do easily and have never been able to do easily. You want to fill type with a gradient? That's nice. How? You've got to create the gradient, turn it into a graphic style, and then you can fill type with it. You want to fill type with a gradient in InDesign? You make the gradient and you fill the type with it. It's much easier, more straightforward. There's a block to doing it in Illustrator that's been there forever, and they haven't yet got over it. They've only just got around the problem of the fact that, you know, in InDesign you can have as many pages as you want. In Illustrator, you can have up to 99 artboards, and that's new. And artboards are, this is the artboard tool. Where's it gone? This thing down here. That's an artboard. You can add more artboards if you want. And you can make them any size you want. That's another artboard. Here's another one. And you can link them all together as if they're pages and turn the whole thing into a PDF. They're not pages. That is a real stretch of the imagination to try and think of those as pages. They're downright irritating is what they usually are. So I don't have a huge amount of time for those particular attributes of Illustrator. InDesign gets around most of them. If it wasn't for the special effects in Illustrator, I wouldn't use it. You can draw the same in InDesign. You can use multiple pages in InDesign. You can add color more easily in InDesign. You can add a gradient to a stroke in InDesign. None of these things can be done in Illustrator. But in Illustrator, you've got things like the symbol sprayer and the warp tool and all kinds of useful stuff that you don't have in InDesign. So that's why I use Illustrator.
Is there a Pathfinder tool in InDesign?
Yeah, there is.
Is it as good as Illustrator?
It's easily as good as Illustrator. I'll show you. You guys familiar with Pathfinder? So it's actually very, very useful if you've got, for example, a couple of shapes. And they might have different fills. And you want to convert that whole thing into a single shape. Now before I do that, I'm just going to highlight those and copy them and go into InDesign and paste them. And that's a grouped object, so I'll ungroup it. And now I've got exactly the same shapes and the colors are there in the swatches window that I just had in Illustrator. So in Illustrator, I can go Window, Pathfinder, and using that icon there, Unite, I could turn those into a single object with one outline. I'm going to undo that now. Hello. There we go. Because there's another tool in Illustrator called the Shape Builder. Did you know about the Shape Builder? Let's see if I can find it. There we go. No, that's the width tool.
Shift M.
Thank you very much. I just found it. Anyway, there's the Shape Builder tool. Now if I got these objects selected, and as you see as I hover over it, it's cross-hatching. If I click on this one and drag into here, those are now one shape. If I continue and drag into here, now that's all one shape. So that's kind of easier to use in a way than Pathfinder. It's got more flexibility than Pathfinder. That tool is again one of the reasons why you should use Illustrator still, because that's not in InDesign. So if I go into InDesign and go to Window and not Output, Object and Layout, Pathfinder. And you've got kind of more options built into this window than you do in Illustrator. And then select those. That will convert them into a single object. That one will subtract the top object away from the bottom object. So if I do those two, it's going to cut that shape out of that purple object like that. This one will leave only the overlap between them. That one leaves everything except the overlap. And that one cuts the bottom object away from the top object. So you do have good Pathfinder options in InDesign. Very handy. So as far as shapes are concerned, they're pretty compatible, but again, InDesign's a little bit more intelligent in that the color swatches come through and are added straight away to the swatches palette, swatches window. So that takes care of InDesign and Illustrator, really. Oh, there is one other thing. in InDesign, of course, you can make PDFs, and you can then import a PDF into Illustrator. So let's have just a quick look at that. I'm not even sure if I've got a PDF here. Let me just have a quick look. In Finder, see if I can find it. Well, there we are. Now that's that kind of PDF. Wasn't really what I was looking for. I'll get a PDF when we're doing the break, and I'll come back to it. You're familiar with Psd files? So Psd files are a way of creating a frame filled with text in Illustrator, which is otherwise not easy to do. Now this is something that's very straightforward to do in InDesign. You create a little bit of type. And I'll just make this slightly bolder than it is there. And then you go type, create outlines. Now you can put whatever you want into that. If I go file place and bring in an image, such as that one, it goes straight into the type. So that's easy in InDesign. It's very straightforward. And you can move the image around, put it where you like. But in Illustrator, that's downright difficult. So you just can't work in it in the same way. And if you want to put an image into type, well, you can't actually do it in Illustrator. What you can do in InDesign is, in Photoshop, you could create an image like this as a layer on a Psd file, and then you could bring that into Illustrator, and that will you can actually save it out as a PDF too, in a Photoshop PDF, and put that into Illustrator. So I'll show you that in a second. I think I need to create a couple of files here. Maybe this would be a good time to have a break. So we take a break, 10-minute break, and I'll put a couple of files together. Sound good?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Thank you. But do remind me to start it again. What? Oh, I have. Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
Are you seriously familiar with QuickTime on a Mac?
Yeah, why?
Oh, hang on. I just